Hi, this is Alex from phpacademy.org and welcome to a PHP video tutorial for the new Boston. Now, after we've installed PHP and perhaps later on in our PHP development, we may need to take a detailed look at everything within our PHP installation. So for example, you might go on later to look at the GD library. So the GD library is used to generate images using its command set. So it's an addition to PHP. It may not be included. Well, I know it's not included with the original PHP installation. So for example, if someone was to say to you, do you have curl installed or do you have GHD image installed, and you know what these are, and there's different libraries for PHP, but you needed to find a way to quickly check everything in your PHP installation and just find general information about your PHP version. For example, someone might ask you, or you might need to find out which PHP version you're using, because obviously different features of PHP work with different versions. You may have an older version of PHP which then later features aren't available, so you always want to check that you're updated to the latest PHP version, and you can check this also using this phpinfo function that we're going to be talking about. So to call the function is relatively simple. It's just within your PHP tags. Remember, we create our PHP tags like this. We can do PHP and then info and then 2 brackets. So this is the standard notation for calling a function. You can see that my text editor hasn't turned it blue like it normally would with other language constructs. For example, echo, you can see is automatically turned blue. This is because it's a language construct within PHP. It's something that's built in and enables something to happen when we run it. So phpinfo, we're just calling a function, because you can see that it's remained black. Just like when we type something that doesn't exist, for example, it's also black. So you need to watch out for this. This means that we're calling a function. So we're calling the function phpinfo, and I've saved this in index.php. So let's go over to our browser and let's refresh and see what we get. Okay, so here you can see that we are listing a selection of data about our PHP installation. So we've got PHP version, so very top in large letters we've got the version that we're running. Then if we go down, we can see different things, things that are enabled, for example, not enabled. Then we can come down and look at specific things like inside the PHP core. So a lot of these will be relative to your php.ini file, which we looked at previously and we will be looking at later on in the tutorials. So let's just go down and see what information we have. Okay, so we've got all this information. We've got information about Apache as well, the Apache environment, so that's our web server, HTTP headers information, down here about BC Math calendar and just things like this that we don't have installed currently. Then we can come down to things like FTP support, GD. So for example, earlier I mentioned the GD library. You can see that GD support is enabled. We've got the GD version, which is bundled with this package, etc, etc. We've got support for different things. So you can find a lot of information out about your PHP installation by calling this function, and it generates a long list of details about your PHP installation. Now, one thing is really important. You mustn't keep a file with this function on your server. You must not have this live on a server. Or in fact, even on your local machine, if you know that you're not protected against people accessing this, this will give people lots of detailed information about your PHP installation. Now, the reason I'm okay to show you is because I'm working on a local machine. It's not giving any information that could harm my my computer through my internet connection. But if you're running say a website and you had this command somewhere on your website that allow people to view, they can view all sorts of information about your PHP installation. So despite now seeing it work, you also must realize that if you have to do this, do it and then quickly delete it. So that's just a bit of security advice for you. So we've run through the phpinfo function, which gives out information about your PHP installation, and obviously you can use this when you need to find out any specifics about your PHP package.